and one submitted in the chat we will try to get to in the chat or after the meeting. To kick it off this evening, we are bringing out Operations Section Chief for California Team 5, Ernie Villa.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Ernie. Currently, I'll give a kind of a brief update on things, as well as kind of what from kind of the beginning of the start of the fire, kind of where we're at now. So, point of origin for the fire started off down here in Oxbow. It's currently under investigation. The start of the fire happened on September 7th. The fire grew pretty rapidly into what it currently is now. The fire is currently, most of the fire's edge is currently pretty active here. All the fire's edge up here along the east side of the community of Roseville remains pretty active. As you kind of continue north around the northern part of the community here, crews are going direct with hand crews, dozers, and engines to pick up the fire's edge direct as much as possible where the terrain will allow them to do so. As they continue north, they're going to take an indirect action there just because of the terrain features. They will have contingency lines that come out to the north here heading northbound that'll connect along Chicken Hawk Road heading northbound. The fire still remains pretty active here on the north end of the fire. We did get some reprieve with some of the weather that we've had, but the fuels conditions are still pretty volatile at this time. As we continue north here, the fire crews are working that edge now, going north to stay out in front of the main fire there, putting in indirect line as they continue north there. As you move further out towards the northeast end of the fire here, the fire still remains fairly active. It's a more remote area of the fire here. We do have crews and resources looking at indirect lines that will be coming across the 13 road down out towards the Mosquito Ridge Road. From there, they're going to continue to work out towards the east here, working their way out indirect out in front of the main fire here. All this fire's edge continues to remain pretty active, and they'll be working out here out in front of the main fire trying to put in indirect line. As you move out here towards the east-southeast end of the fire here, very active fire front as you come down through the southeast, come up indirect reservoir, coming up towards the northeast, connecting existing fuel breaks that currently exist in this general area, up towards the north to connect it from the crews coming down from the northern end. As you come around the bottom end of the fire here, we have some indirect lines that are proposed coming out of Pilot Creek. As we come out of Pilot Creek, we'll look at trying to come back around the southeast end of the fire back over towards the Wentworth Springs Road, coming up through the network of roads where the fire is currently holding with a direct hand line and dozer line along the south end of the fire here. As the fire got up on approached the Volcano Road, the crews were able to take aggressive action to stop the fire along the Volcano Road. Currently it's holding road, and they're in river. They're making good progress. They still have quite a fight on their hands, but they're making good progress coming out towards here, and the fire activity will dictate how they continue to move forward.
Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate that. Next up, we're going to have our resource advisor, or air resource advisor, which is going to be Lee Tarnay. Lee?
Good evening. I'm Lee Tarnay, Air Resource Advisor for the Mosquito Fire. And my job here is sort of like the IMET. We're dispatched to a quality response program, and we come to these fires like the incident meteorologists dispatch for a couple weeks to help forecast smoke and help guide you as to where the smoke is going to be and a little bit about how to avoid it. So far during this fire, we've had some pretty crazy large emission numbers for our daily emissions, and most of that smoke, there hasn't been a lot of wind on this fire, In the past week, it's been mostly just driven by the fuel and topography, and a lot of the most intense smoke impacts have been basically in this sort of corridor from below the fire in the foothills and even towards Folsom, and then above the fire all the way over towards Reno and Carson City, and then traveling along the foothills to the north and south. And as we transition this weekend into a pattern where there's a little bit more of a consistent and slowly, more steady southwest wind, and pushing north along the foothills and over towards, as we see this evening, towards Truckee and Tahoe City and Reno. So we're getting a slightly different pattern now, and I have a tool, and we, as Air Resource Advisors, we have a tool that we put out, a one-page outlook to help you guys understand what that pattern and what these different conditions mean for your area and during the day, both today and tomorrow. And that's called the smoke.airnow.org. And any place where there is a smoke outlook, there's a little box drawn and with a little exclamation mark there, and it'll link you right to the smoke outlook. And really the point of that outlook is to give you guys a heads up as to when and where we're going to have heavy smoke, so that you can minimize your exposure by avoiding it, either by getting out of that area or filtering or all of the different things you can do to mitigate your exposure and reduce your exposure. Those are outlined in the Smoke Ready site, for example, is one of those links at the bottom of that in particular situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring up from Placer County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant John Barnhart.
Thank you. As far as evacuations are concerned, we are still holding evacuation orders for Forest Hill proper and the Todd Valley area. We've expanded orders today to zones 21 and 22. So if you have the link or want to refer to it in our social media posts or go to placersheriff.org, you can do so. To find the map with the new zones have been put under evacuation warning. And that is in case the fire does spread, we want to make sure that everyone is ready. So again, please, we appreciate your patience and endurance through this. And please know that we're working very diligently with fire to make sure that these zones are patrolled. While evacuated, we had numerous deputies from our own agency and from other agencies wide that continue to patrol both day and night to ensure.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next up, we're going to have from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Alex Story.
Thank you. My name is Alexander Sori with the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, and I'm the Public Information Officer. So to start off, I'll talk a little bit about staffing. We have currently 13 EDSO or El Dorado County Sheriff's Office members dedicated to the fire, and then we have 28 mutual aid, so a total of 41 officers dedicated to the fire. So far, we've made 5 arrests within the evacuation zones. These arrests were people committing crimes in that area. For more information regarding maps or anything that we're going to push out in terms of information, you can refer to our county websites or our social media pages. Also, if you're interested and you haven't done it yet, you can get registered for evacuation edso.org. We'll talk about this map I have here. So if you look at this map, you can see that this is a fire area. Now it's not necessarily exact, but this is a general area. The red zone here is going to be the order and then the yellow is going to be warnings. So currently right now in the warning zone, we have Cool, Garden Valley, Slate Mountain, Swansboro, and Stumpy Meadows. And then order evacuation locations are Georgetown, Volcanoville, and Quintet. For evacuation shelter information, just to
It's my great privilege this first night, this first virtual community night, to introduce you to all 4 of the agency administrators for the fire agencies that are responsible, along with the Sheriff's Department, for the fire. And I'll start with furthest to my left, Chief Brian Estes from Nevada Yuba Placer CAL FIRE Unit, and his counterpart north of the Rubicon River, Acting Forest Supervisor Matt Jedra on the Tahoe National Forest. Immediately to my left is my partner on the south side of the river, Chief Mike Blankenheim from the Amador El Dorado Ranger Unit of CAL FIRE, and of course I'm Jeff Marcellet, the Forest Supervisor for the El Dorado National Forest. Let me begin tonight by just saying thank you for being with us. It means a lot for us to have you online making time to get the accurate information from our incident management team. And thanks to the incident management team for mobilizing quickly to come here and help us, and the SAC regional team, incident management team. I'd also like to put a heartfelt thank you to the firefighters who have been valiantly fighting this fire on the line. They've been in dangerous conditions over the last several days, and they have had a heck of a firefight, and you'll hear that over the communities have been unbelievable. The outpouring, patience for not having all the answers all the time, and most importantly, your desire to help us help put this fire out. It's deeply appreciated, and it means a lot to our firefighters to know that you're behind them. The last thank you is all the cooperators, but in an incident like this, it takes a lot of key folks coming together to try to not just put the fire out, but manage power and water and roads and evacuations and animals and all kinds of things as the agents, different from, say, an incident commander. In essence, the 4 of us share our responsibility with the incident commanders. We all are local and have responsibility over the land base that's affected by this fire, whether it's from a state responsibility or a federal responsibility. It's our jobs to uphold the tenets, and we work to harm firefighters on the ground can go fight the fire. Now, in a large incident like this, we delegate those responsibilities to the incident commanders so that they can make sure to focus on the health and welfare and safety of our firefighters while they progress through the evolutions of dealing with a large incident like this. And we solve policy issues and solve funding issues and solve human resource issues and all the other things that go into a big incident like this. So you're going to get to meet our incident commanders, some of them here, virtually every one of these community meetings, to answer questions. So thanks for the time tonight. We appreciate your patience, and we're glad that the team has come to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our incident commanders up and have them talk to you.
Good evening. My name is Dusty Martin, one of the Unified Incident Command. Josh Barnhart with the Placer County Sheriff's Department and Jim Hudson with CAL FIRE. This incident is a unified command incident between both agencies, and that means that we stand shoulder to shoulder and walk through this incident together. So a couple of things for you tonight is, so currently our acreage on the fire is 33,754 acres, and we have a total of 1,790, and to add the complexity is we have multiple counties that are separated by the river drainage. Your firefighters that have been out on the ground have been in one heck of a firefight for the last couple of days, in amongst structures and the communities, and then in that rugged terrain, not to mention the massive heat wave that we've had over the last week when this fire started. One of the things I want you to know is that our number one priority is life and property. With that, that means public and firefighter safety is our top priority. We know that we have folks that are evacuated from their homes, and we do not take that lightly. We are doing everything we can to get the incident mitigated, to get you back into your, to make sure that the different counties have been evacuated in the last couple of years, and we understand the toll that takes on you. We want to make sure that it is safe to do so when we get you back into your house. The last thing that we want to do is have to re-evacuate together. Doesn't matter the patch, we are here to mitigate this emergency to the best of our abilities, quickly, safely, and as efficiently as we can. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Incident Commanders. Next, we're going to bring back Ernie Villa, our Operations Section Chief.
Good evening, everybody. I had a question here. I misspoke earlier. I wanted to make I was speaking to Swampy Meadow is the correct terminology for this general area, and I will continue to. It to a point where we can show it contained. So we have a lot of investment down here. Tactically, this is the most favorable ground for the folks down on the ground operationally, and they have a good plan coming out to the west here to try to lock this fire off and tie it back into the American River. I think, like the IC spoke earlier, this ground is very unforgiving. Some of this ground is impenetrable, very have a lot of investment. This line is pretty solid. Over the next few days, as we can, we'll show containment in here, but there's a lot of work that has to go into making sure that this is extinguished to the extent that we could say that we could show it contained. As you continue down here, we have pretty much dozer line direct edge all the way out towards. So I think that's pretty solid. Weather, a lot of things can dictate changing that, so we're just going to keep that. We have a lot of folks out here. They'll maintain presence out there till we feel safe that we can show it contained, and then we'll continue to show presence out there until we feel that it's safe to slowly downstaff, which is nowhere in the future. Why are dozer lines so far out from the fire's edge? A lot of times we might have the best plan like we do here on the Volcano Road, but we have to have a contingency plan to fall back on should that line not hold. So we have other lines out here identified further back off. We call them contingency lines. They're places where we could fall back in case the fire does cross the line that we intended to use for stuff that's outside of our control there, like weather and investment down here in Quintet. We've got dozer lines on the north side of the community of Quintet. This piece right here has a lot of firefighters in here trying to pick this fire up direct as possible to keep it from continuing south into the community of Quintet. So we have a lot of investment down here. We're still not out of the clear here. We're going to continue to maintain a heavy presence down here until we can show containment and continue to mop up and secure this edge to where it's safe to eventually repopulate that area and allow all of you to return to your residence. That'll be the last question. Turn it back over.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Really appreciate you getting up there and answering some of the questions we're getting online. Next, we're going to bring up from Placer County Sheriff's Office once again, Lieutenant John Barnhart.
We have 3 questions here. What zone is Applegate? And Applegate has not been designated as. Someone asked the status of Hillcrest Mobile Home Park, and as far as I know, Hillcrest is fine. Everything in there is fine right now. And then when will Forest Hill Road reopen? Good question. It's a matter of, again, security and keeping the zones that we have evacuated clear and safe for the firefighters to continue to do their job. So for the time being, Forest Hill Road will remain closed. Again, if you need anything, please dial 211. That will bring you to the directory. The phone tree will have further questions. Please dial that number. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next up, we're going to bring back from El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Alex Sorey.
Thank you. I have 3 questions here. The first one will be, will Stumpy Meadows be evacuated soon? That's hard to say, and the answer is I don't know. What we'll do is we work with fire and we remain in contact with them, and if they notify us that we need to evacuate, then that's what we'll do. But until then, I don't have an answer for that question. The next one is the answer to that is when it's safe. So we continue to evaluate with fire how things are going and what's going on with the fire. And as soon as it's safe, that's when it'll happen. But I don't have a time frame or a date for you. And the third, any homes lost in El Dorado County, Georgetown, or Volcanoville? The answer is I don't have an answer to that. We have to wait for the damage assessment team to go in there once it's safe, once again. So when it's determined it's safe, the damage assessment team can go in and then we'll have answers for you on that.
That's going to conclude the briefing for this evening. We will be continuing these meetings every night, the same time, 7 o'clock, on the El Dorado and Tahoe National Forest Facebook page, as well as CAL FIRE and our YouTube account. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will be answering the questions that we didn't get to tonight on the chat. Thank you. We'll